Why I'm poor but richer than most billionaires. Most people believe wealth is a number in a bank account, but I've learned that the wealthiest people I know are often the most broke. If you think having $1 million solves your problems, you have been lied to by the very people selling you the dream. I live on less than $20,000 a year. By every conventional metric of the modern economy, I am poor. Yet, when I look at the lives of the executives and the hustle culture influencers I once worked for, I realize I am the one living in abundance. The wealthy won't tell you the truth because their entire business model relies on your insecurity. They need you to feel poor, so you keep buying their courses, their status symbols, and their advice. Let's look at the actual math of happiness. In 2010, researchers Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton published a landmark study from Princeton University. They found that emotional well-being rises with income, but only up to about $75,000 a year. Beyond that threshold, the correlation between more money and more happiness essentially flattens. A person making $75,000 isn't significantly happier than a person making $10 million. The difference is that the person making $10 million is often trapped in a cycle of diminishing returns. They are paying for higher walls, bigger houses, and a lifestyle that demands more maintenance. Wealth is not an accumulation of things. Wealth is the absence of anxiety. If you have $10 million but your life is governed by a calendar packed with meetings, legal disputes, and the constant fear of losing your status, you are not wealthy. You are a high-paid prisoner. Consider the lifestyle creep that consumes the middle and upper class. In 1950, the average American home size was about 983 square feet. Today, it's over 2,500 square feet. We have tripled our space, yet our levels of loneliness and depression have skyrocketed. We filled those extra rooms with things we don't need, bought with money we didn't have, to impress people we don't even like. The rich won't tell you that the secret to wealth is actually subtraction. It is the art of wanting less. When you stop chasing the next level, you stop being a customer. You start being an owner of your own time. My poverty is a strategic choice. I spend my mornings reading, walking, and talking to friends. I don't have a mortgage hanging over my head like a guillotine. I don't have to sacrifice my integrity to satisfy a board of directors. Most people would call this a lack of ambition. I call it the ultimate form of luxury. Let's look at the history of the concept of wealth. The ancient Stoics, men like Seneca, who was one of the richest people in Rome, constantly practiced poverty. He would intentionally live on bread and water for days at a time to prove to himself that he could survive if he lost his fortune. He knew that the only way to be truly free is to be immune to the loss of your assets. If you are terrified of losing your money owns you. There is a psychological trap called the hedonic treadmill. It's a biological reality. Whether you get a promotion or a new car, your baseline of happiness returns to its original state within a few months. You become accustomed to the luxury. The luxury ceases to be a pleasure and becomes a requirement. When you are poor by choice, you never enter the treadmill. You keep your baseline low, which means the smallest joys, a sunset, a good cup of coffee, a deep conversation, still trigger massive hits of dopamine. The wealthy won't tell you this because their power is derived from the gap between where you are and where they are. If you decide that you are already enough, their power vanishes. I see people earning $300,000 a year who are genuinely miserable. They are paying for a premium lifestyle that requires them to work 80 hours a week. They are paying for childcare so they can work to pay for the childcare. It's a closed-loop system of exhaustion. They have no time to reflect, no time to create, and no time to experience the life they are supposedly working for. Real wealth is defined by three things: time, autonomy, connection. If you have those three, you are in the top 1% of human history. Even a king in the 14th century did not have the access to information, the quality of healthcare, or the freedom of movement that you have right now. We are living in a time of unprecedented abundance, yet we are being tricked into a narrative of scarcity. The marketing machine works by highlighting the one thing you don't have. It convinces you that your life is incomplete because you don't have the new phone or the new watch or the promotion. They want you to trade your life energy for paper currency. If you want to escape, you have to break the spell. You have to realize that you are not behind. You are not failing. You are simply refusing to play a rigged game. Start by auditing your life. Ask yourself what you are actually buying with your time. Are you buying freedom? Or are you buying a slightly more comfortable cage? When you realize that the cage is the problem, not the contents of the cage, everything changes. True wealth is the ability to walk away. It is the ability to look at a high-stress, high-pay job and say no. It is the ability to look at a social expectation and say no. It is the realization that your presence is worth more than your productivity. I've seen men die with billions in their accounts, and I've seen men die with nothing but the respect of their community. In the end, the ledger is identical. We all leave with zero. The only difference is the amount of life we actually lived while we were here. You don't need $1 million to have a successful life. You just need to stop believing the lie that says you are incomplete without it. The moment you decide that you have enough is the moment you become the richest person in the room. Wealth is not a destination. It is a perspective, and it is available to you right now for free. If you woke up today with your health, a clear mind, and the autonomy to choose how you spend your next hour, you are already wealthier than most of the people on this planet. The question isn't how to get more. The question is, what will you do with the immense fortune you already possess? And if you want to find out how rich people invest in themselves without spending money, click on this video.